it's Renee with Delaney Jane Cards. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have the unboxing of the August 2020 card kit from Create and Inkspire, and I'm also going to make 5 cards, so that's why this video is like 20 minutes long. They're fun, I swear. Stick around and watch, but I'm going to unbox this or unpackage it really quick so you can take a look. There are palette knives in here. Now they say disposable, but wash them up, use them. Don't throw those in the landfill. You get 6x6 pattern paper. They're actually packaged. They're not even loose. They're packaged. They have a cover sheet and everything. You can get a full add-on with 36 pages, I think, if you go to the site. I'll have that link below. There's this fantastic stencil. Made in the USA, by the way. I know it was made here in Wisconsin, and I am super excited about that. Wisconsin proud. And then there are 2 stamp sets, and you see this glare here. I do take care of that here in a second because I want to really show you the video or the stamp sets here. So these are buildable, and buildable sentiments are always pretty cool in my book because you can do all sorts of things with them. And then there's kind of this icon set. It is called Colorful, and then the other one is called Colorful Sentiments. I mean, yeah. And then there is an add-on stamp set here, as well as that pack of pattern paper that you can get on the site. So I am going to use a combination of all of the things. Try to use as much of everything as I possibly can. So here I'm stamping just the paint palette and the paintbrush onto paper, and I did color it. I didn't do anything fabulous or fantastic, so I actually didn't even film it. I just filled in the little paint spots and just shaded a little bit on the paint palette itself just to add some interest. I really didn't do anything super fantastic. I thought that watching the card go together using all of these pattern papers might be more interesting. So I did grab a piece of orange cardstock from my stash. It was from my, I guess, better quality cardstock, so it came from one of those well-known stores, those craft stores. I can't tell you which one because I just keep all that stuff together. So then I wanted to kind of build my scene. I knew I needed to add black. This card I was a little bit torn on. I thought maybe I should have added some black splatter in the end. You'll have to tell me, but I think it turned out fine, but I also think that black splatter would have been a little bit cool. So I did pull out some of these little Pink and Main cubes that I have, and I'm going to multi-color stamp the word color. Kind of get a rainbow here using red, yellow, and blue, and you know when they overlap you get orange and green. So I was kind of working on that just a little bit so that I could get this. But I also stamped the U in my world with some black ink on this piece of it's probably Nina paper, and then I trimmed everything out. Nice label cut for the smaller words, and then I did fussy cut the word color. So I'm going to layer these up. Did add a little bit of thread that I have in my drawer to the banner piece here, and I'm going to pop it all up on foam tape. This is just some cheap foam tape I get from Amazon. It is nothing special, and you can kind of see a glimpse there. I actually do date the inside of my foam tape, and I opened that one just about 4 months ago, so it's almost out. So after I glued that down or adhered that down, I did just trim the top off, and here I'm going to glue down the little label that says U, and it had a bunch of glue oohing out, so I just used a post-it note there to get that off, and then add a little bit of foam adhesive where these things would hang off of that center banner that I have popped up. So like the paintbrush handle sticks off, part of the paint palette, and then part of the My World will also stick off there, and I just added a tiny little bit of foam tape under that one. And then for the word color, I thought I would do something a little bit interesting, I guess. There was this embossing powder that comes in the kit. It's Ranger Iridescent, holographic embossing powder, and it's so gorgeous. But I had already stamped my word, and I had already moved or cut it out, so I couldn't just put it back in my MISTI. So I used this Versamark pen and just went over it, and then I put on the holographic embossing powder, and he did that up. And I wanted it to be kind of thicker. I didn't want it to just be one layer. So while it's still hot, I did kind of dip it back into the holographic powder there that I have on my coffee filter, and just got more of a layer to that. It is so gorgeous, and you won't be able to tell. Not in my photos and not on camera. It is like in person gorgeous. You kind of have to see it to believe it. For the second card here, I am using the stencil that came in the kit in a couple of different yellow, I think that's, I should know because that's the one my old cat got a hold of. That's why it looks all fuzzy. I think it's mustard seed and then wild honey. And I sponged on the yellow, and then I went around just the very edge with the wild honey because it's a little bit deeper, and it added a lot of dimension. Now I could have just done this. I could have just left these splatters on here. I could have done them in other colors too. I just, for some reason, just thought that yellow would be really fun, and thought I would try that. While I'm finishing this here, I don't think I mentioned that there is a sweet treat in the box. You've seen it really quick, but this month the sweet treat is Sweet Tarts. And the fun fact, and I'm not sure if they're all the same, but the fun fact on my card is, fun fact, the Smarties brand has been owned and operated by the same family since 1949 and are called Rockets in Canada. And when I read that out loud, I was like, huh, that's actually really interesting because I like weird facts like that. So for this card, I decided I was going to use the medium that came in the kit. Now, I believe every kit is going to have maybe one of 3 different ones. The one that I got is transparent matte texture paste. There's 3 different options, so they're all texture pastes. Some of them dry differently. This one is matte, which I like because I like matte things, but I didn't use it as a matte thing. So what I did here is I went over these spots. I lined the stencil back up and went over them, and I didn't make it smooth. It is incredibly textured on here. Also, when I'm done, I do wipe off the palette knife because I didn't want to contaminate what was in the little pot of texture paste. But I also did take the stencil to my sink in my kitchen, and I scrubbed it really well. It came off really cleanly. This stencil is really good quality. It didn't even stain. It was amazing. But here you can see I was just kind of cleaning it up a little bit so that I didn't get goo all over my kitchen sink. So then, while it was still a little wet, I used this holographic embossing powder and I sprinkled it over and embossed those spots. And then I did pull out that extra sentiment, or that extra stamp set, and I used the sentiment that says, "You're never too old to create pretty things." And that was card number 2. So card number 3, I thought I would play with this crayon box. Crayon, do you say crayon or do you say crayon? Because it depends on who I'm talking to, I think. If I'm talking to my kids, it's crayons. Actually, it's pick those up. Or stop breaking those. Yeah, that's kind of what they're called. But they're crayons. So what I did is stamp the crayon box, and then I stamped and moved this crayon around my card. And you'll see that this is a slimline card. Yeah, I know. I've been trying to create more of them. I know that a lot of people really like them. I am still working on my like and or love of them. They just seem so very big to me, and I'm struggling. But I'm trying to stretch myself, and I do think that this card in general worked out really well. I think these images are the perfect size for a slimline card. I think the scale is good. But I just kind of scattered these all over. I wasn't counting. I was just kind of filling in the spaces and making it look like the table when my kids are coloring, because them 2 boys, they can make a mess in a hot second. And every one of these crayons that's off this card are probably broken in like 8 pieces. And I'm probably yelling at them from the other side of the room to stop breaking that and make sure your sister doesn't eat that crayon. Yep, that's what goes on in my house. So I was finishing up the stamping of the crayons here, and I thought that looked messy enough. It looks full enough, I think. And then I wanted to stamp the sentiment, and I did the same kind of two-step stamping with the word color again, but this time I started with the yellow in the center. I wanted to get more of a gradient in color. The first time I stamped it, it's more blocky, I guess. I didn't do the transition very well, but here's a little better. I get better at it. And then I stamped in the relax and, which is part of that buildable sentiment set, which is fantastic. So here it is. Here's all my coloring. And now I'm going to pull that stencil out. See, there's not even a single spot on here from when I was using it before, which is pretty fantastic. It cleaned up so well. So I'm just going to add a few like colored splotches on here. I just felt like it seemed like there was enough crayons, but it just didn't seem messy enough. Like my kids are probably coloring on the table and breaking them into tiny pieces and probably chewing on them. I don't know. And then this one green spot, I wanted it to match more of the color that I wanted to use for the green crayon. So I just colored right over it. You can do that with stencils, and especially distress inks, you can do that. So I'm going to show you coloring this one crayon. Now, I don't have the color cam on. You see me get it organized there, but I never turned it on. So we don't have any up close coloring today. So this isn't a coloring video. It's to inspire you to use this kit to create all sorts of things. And there are already several videos out there to show you lots and lots of inspiration. The kit is amazing. It's beautiful. And if you are a pattern paper lover, you can get quite a few cards out of those 6 pattern papers. You know that you can. If you are a colorist or somebody that enjoys coloring, there's a lot of things to color. If you're somebody that just wants to stamp in black and white, you can do that too. Get some of those little packs of kid crayons. They have like 4 crayons in them. Stamp out some cards, send them with a box of crayons or whatever. And some little kids are going to have a joyous time. So here I'm just going to show you as I colored the crayons, everything kind of got colored. So there was the blue one went in and the purple one, and here is the yellow one. I kind of lined up those first few around the splotches that I had made sure that I had those all taken care of so that I didn't put like, I don't know, a black crayon next to the purple spot, that I kind of lined them all up. And I just did all the details in gray. I didn't do anything extra or fantastic. Just kind of went through and colored and dispersed the color and made it look fun and interesting. And I really do like all the colors that I decided on. I think that they're pretty and it just comes to life. And I really enjoyed making a slimline card with these crayons. So there, now I got all the crayons colored in and the crayon box, and I just did a gradient on that green and some yellow. I am going to show you this. This is the shadow that I put on them. I used the C4, the C2, and the C00. I just ran along the outside edge of these crayons and gave them a shadow like they were sitting on a table. Wanted to, I don't know, I guess ground them. Not like, hey, you're grounded, you snuck out last night. Like, hey, that's where you're sitting on the table, kind of grounded. I know, right? And then I just blended it out here. And so it still has a shadow, but it's not such a harsh line. And I will go out one more marker, which is the C00, just to ground everything and make it look like it's sitting on something and not just floating. So are you a slimline fan? Jury's still out for me. I'm trying to really like them, but they do seem like they're a lot of space. And I am such an A2 size card maker that sometimes it's a struggle for me. So this card was a super interesting idea. What I did, or at least in my mind, it was a super interesting and I think a creative idea. So I stamped all of these things. There's a lot of things. I kind of took them from the different stamp sets, from the stamp sets that came in the kit, from the add-on, and I just kind of built some pattern paper here. And I thought that we'll go through making this card, and you'll have to tell me. First of all, I want to know what your favorite is. If you end up with a favorite, or if my cards are not your style, instead of giving me a thumbs down, because there's been a little bit of that going on, tell me what it is that you would like to see from my channel, or what am I missing the mark on that is what you are tuning in for. Oh, back to this stamping here. I decided to do the middle instead of yellow like I had been doing. I decided to do it in purple because I originally stamped everything in this light gray. And then I had kind of a space here. I added a pencil, and then I do add one more sentiment kind of underneath the paintbrush there just to kind of fill it in so that it looks like pattern paper. Anyway, back to what I'm asking of you. I want to know what your favorite card is. Did you have one? Was it not a card that you particularly enjoyed, but a technique or a style or a particular layout? I mean, I tried to incorporate as much of everything as I could. So for this card, I did stamp out this pencil 3 times, and I colored them in the same color combinations as I used on the crayons. One in orange, one in yellow, and one in blue. And you can see here I have partially colored some of the images, and I have put everything up on foam tape. The U and the My World are heat embossed on some black. Those are popped up, and then the pencils are kind of all lined up like I am coloring this piece here, and that is card 4. I think we're at card 4. This is, it might be my favorite. I'm not sure. I think I executed it okay. I mean, I really like the slimline card with the crayons. I think that one is super fun. I like them all. But I think this idea is neat. Maybe that's kind of what I'm thinking is, I don't know if I would say it's my favorite, but it's right up there. It's one of the top 5. So I stamped the paintbrush, the pencil, and the crayon along the whole entire edge of the card, and they kind of end 2/3 of the way over. And now I'm going to use those Copic markers, and in rainbow order, I am going to put color from these devices that are used to color down the page. Like, have you seen one of those drippy crayon paintings where you adhere all the crayons to the top, and then you use your heat tool and it melts all the way down the canvas? Kind of like that. I know I'm holding it the other way, but it's just easier for me to color like that. But I'm going to go in rainbow order, and I'm kind of sloppily doing this. I'm trying to make sure that it makes sense and that it's, you know, filled in and it looks kind of splattery, but it goes paintbrush, crayon, pencil, paintbrush, crayon, pencil, you know, until we're at the end. So the paintbrush is going to have kind of a, I don't know, more fluid swatch of color. The pencil lines are going to be a little more linear, and the crayons are going to have kind of a more a thicker line than the pencil, but not as flowy and organic as the paintbrush, if that makes sense. Do you see what I'm doing here? I did make sure that I got the tip of the crayon, the tip of the pencil, and a little bit of paint on the paintbrush. And now I am going to color everything else in gray. I wanted this like juxtaposition of black and white images versus color, or black and white images up against color. I just thought it looked very graphic and artistic, actually, and I thought it would be super neat and kind of a really cool concept with this card kit to have these black and white images, and then they just turn to this bold, bright color, and that's what I did. I used the same gray markers that I've been using this whole time, and I colored everything gray, made sure I got it all the way to the edge. Then I heat embossed the You Make Life in white again on black, and I also embossed the word colorful in white on black. And then I took my Copic markers and I colored the white embossing powder. Now, it did get on my nibs, didn't ruin them. They are your markers. You would do with them what you want. You could use a water-based marker. It might work for you. I decided they are my things and that's what I wanted to do, so that's what I did. Here I'm adding some sparkle to all of the color, and I'm going to put this down. After I put the Copic marker on the embossing powder, I used my Versamark pen to go back over that and did put that holographic embossing powder over top. So those are my 5 cards. I want to know, do you have a favorite? Here you can see more of the texture that's on that Create Pretty Things card. Do you have a favorite? Are you a fan of slimline cards? And did you pick up your August 2020 Create and Inkspire card kit? And have you checked out the site yet? Because there's a lot of content on there, exclusive content on there. There's also a forum. It's a really cool place to be. So I appreciate you stopping by. I'm so glad you came and helped me make 5 cards for you. Thanks again. And as I always say, give cards generously. Bye.